How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Remember the last time when we spoke right after the 10th anniversary of In the Heights
I
on
do.
Broadway at BroadwayCon? And I got to
Yes,
chat with
I
you
do.
tonight. Well, this is for CBS News. So I'm
Great.
excited to chat with you again today. What were some of the emotions you felt on the first day of filming on set in your neighborhood more than a decade after having massive success on Broadway?
Actually, the literal first day of filming was not in my neighborhood, so it was strange. We were filming a fantasy sequence for Vanessa when she is dreaming of going downtown, and it won't be long now. But again, New York City has layers and layers of memories if you grow up here. So we were filming at the Astor Place station. I was filming a block from where Hamilton premiered at the Public Theater. I was filming 2 blocks from what was formerly the Barnes and Noble on Astor Place, where I used to sit in the humor section with my best friend Adam Rauscher while we waited for our after-school theater club to start at 5:30. So, again, like the distance between these three very different points in my life, and finally, after 13 years making the In the Heights movie, that's what it is to make a movie in New York. It's like piles of your life on every block.
How did you look at this story differently to make this film now than when you put it on stage in 2008?
Um, I didn't have the courage, and Kiara did. And so Kiara took a first stab at the screenplay without me. She said, let me, she said, you started this whole thing. Let me take a stab at it. I think I'll be braver in terms of, adapting this thing that we have co-parented for our entire 20s. And so she was really brave, and she did really smart and incredible updates to the screenplay. And then the fun for me was in getting to talk to these characters again. And again, I've known these characters so long that when you write for Usnavi and Vanessa and they're having a new moment, it's more like taking dictation from your characters than having to think up what they'll say. But it was a joy to revisit them again. There's lots of new moments throughout, but they're inside the songs you already love. And so, I just have to give Kiara all the credit for capturing the spirit of the show, but really making a movie that I think stands on its own.
I think one of the big changes that everyone is talking about, because you can hear it in song as opposed to being in the dialogue, is the change that you took out about Donald Trump in 96,000. I know you made the change, but when in the process of making the film was that decision made?
The culture was already making that change. I think that, when I wrote that lyric in 2005, he was a reality TV host. I think my parents had a board game, a Trump board game in the 80s, back when he was just sort of like the human version of the Monopoly man when I was growing up. And when his name came to be associated with some of the most divisive, hateful rhetoric at Latino people that I think we've had from an administration, obviously the connotation just changes. It takes, and again, like, this movie is about joy. Like, so it just had no business being in that song. So like, companies were asking for permission to change the lyric as far back as 2016. And then we just kind of ratified it when we made the movie.
Interesting that was happening even before.
Yeah, the culture demanded it. that was sort of like a hive mind thing, like the way the United States cast Tina Fey as Sarah Palin, when it was just like, sometimes we all decide something together.
Right. Well, and the culture has certainly changed since you started writing this in college. How do you think the pursuit of the American dream and the immigrant experience shifted since the musical came out? Because a lot has.
A lot has. And when I think of Sonny's lyrics in 2008 about immigration, he says, "What about immigration? Politicians be hating. Racism in this nation's gone from latent to blatant." How much more true is that, sadly, in 2021 than it was even in 2008? Now, obviously, the immigration debate has been with us for decades, but I do believe it's coarsened, and the discourse around it has gotten so toxic. And so I'm just very proud that this is a musical about Latino immigrants that is written by Latinos with joy and love, and as a reminder that we are human, we are the fastest growing population in the United States, and that we are the next chapter of the American dream.
And that's what you want people to take away when they see this movie.
100%.
The utter joy.
And yeah, love and joy. And I can't tell you, like, there's layers to this too, because even before Washington Heights was a Latino immigrant neighborhood, it was an Irish immigrant neighborhood, it was a Jewish immigrant neighborhood, it was an Italian immigrant neighborhood. And I would meet people at the stage door. I would meet Latino kids who say, I live on 175th Street right now. And I would meet older Jewish folks who said, my grandmother's first like place in this country was on 190th Street in Wadsworth. So again, the fact that this neighborhood, I think one of the things that makes it special is it is the first chapter in so many American stories.
My boss still calls you, who lives in Washington Heights. He says, you're the dad of the neighborhood who did good, is what he told me. He says,
oh my
that's
gosh,
what the neighborhood thinks of you.
Neighborhood.
That's what they say in Washington Heights.
Well, it's funny. I used to, when I was on Twitter, I used to post videos of me like listening to music or rapping on the train, and people would be like, doesn't anyone stop you? And you want to say like, Papa, everyone is so used to seeing me walking around with headphones on. They just know not to bother me. They just go, Lin-Manuel's writing.
Good thing. So on the A train, no one bother you on the A train.
Yeah, and that's how much it feels like home to me. Like the fact that people go, oh, there he is. I'll never forget. This is like way pre-Hamilton. I was walking with my dog and she was still a puppy, and I didn't know the rules of like bringing a puppy into a bodega. And there was a construction worker sitting on the floor outside, and he looked at me and said, Tranquilo, Usnavi, I'll watch the dog till you come back out. So like it's that level feeling acknowledged and seen in my neighborhood. And I'm so proud of the neighborhood, and all I want is the neighborhood to be proud of this film.
And they will be. I mean, I love seeing all the different, places in the Washington Heights. But I want to ask you, at what point in discussions of making the film did you say that you just can't play Usnavi?
Oh, I think that became sort of clear over the course of it. The fight then became, and again, this was a fight between me and Chiara and John, who were on the same side, of like what I was going to do in the movie. I was very happy to sit in my writer's chair and cheer on this cast, because it's so much about community and this cast making it their own and finding their own community. But then Chiara talked me into Piragüero. She was like, it's the surest way the song doesn't get cut, because there's no plot in Piragua. Do you know what I mean? Like it encapsulates, it's a metaphor for the entire neighborhood, right? Like life is hard, prices are going up, but we keep scraping by. But she was like, if you're in it, they can't cut it. And so it was very clever of her to do that. And
you're like, yeah, sign me up. You're in, I think I counted at least 3 different scenes as the Piragua guy.
Yeah. I'm in Piragua, and then the most joyous day of filming was in Carnaval, where I get to duet with Usnavi, and I'll tell you, on the set that day, we weirdly had not gotten the pre-record of Anthony singing his part in time, so Anthony was lip syncing to me 12 years prior, singing Usnavi's part while I am singing my Piragua part. So I was duetting with the voice of myself while staring into my Hamilton son's eyes. I mean, the layers to it are like, I will be unpacking this for years.
How did you do that? How did you stand there with Anthony? He's lip syncing to you, you're singing a new part, passing the torch. It must feel so amazing to give somebody else this opportunity to shine like you did so many years ago in this.
Well, yeah. Well, he's a better Usnavi than I could ever be, honestly. Like he's so much spiritually closer to Usnavi. He doesn't have to put anything on to be Usnavi. He has an incredible skill set that seems to have no ceiling. So I felt very proud. The way I did it was I was a professional. I sang there, and then I cried when they said cut.
Oh, did you really?
Like every day, Leigh.
Every day.
Yeah.
I know. I saw so many photos of you on set, and your excitement and the energy. It was just so amazing to see. And I know you also were watching John Chu at the same time to watch how he directed. What did you take from him so that when you went to direct Tick, Tick, Boom, you took away some of his skills?
I think the thing John is greatest at is he's planning. He's as meticulous as any director you would want, but then he also allows for magic to happen on the day. Like he will see, all right, the sun is coming this way, let's do it. One of the great examples is a song in the movie called Champagne. We were filming that on location. We were on 175th Street in an apartment. And John went, it's quiet today. I think we can sing this live if you guys are up to sing this live, which it's just not an option in Washington Heights, especially in the summer. It's just so loud all the time. That's why I said a musical there. And John said, I think we can do this live, and I think we can do this in one take. And because Melissa and Anthony are so incredible, you can make a game day decision like that. And I think it shows. I think they're so present. And I think it's take 9 you are seeing in the movie. But it's a continuous take. And that's the kind of thing, they planned to shoot all day and they got it in one take. And with the actors singing live in the moment, because John went, it's quiet enough that we can do this. Everybody change plans, get a mic on him, let's go.
Wow. And I guess you use that for when you were making decisions and game time.
For Tick, Tick, Boom, absolutely. I think I learned a lot from John. I learned a lot from Tommy Kail. I learned a lot from Rob Marshall when I was doing Mary Poppins Returns in terms of planning and having a vision. And those are, John, Tommy, and Kiara are like my speed dial for anything I'm working on. It doesn't matter if I'm working with them on it or not. That's like my brain trust and my heart trust, those 3 folks.
Thank you, Leigh. That is all the time that we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lin-Manuel.
Great to see you
It was a
again.
pleasure chatting with you. Good to see you.